Hi fellow Webflowers! In this new tutorial you will learn everything you need to know about Webflow forms so you can just get started. As an example, we will build this contact form with all field types that Webflow provides us with. So let's get started. So at first I will go here and hide this form so we can start with a new one. To add a form, you simply go here and you can search here for form and drag this form here. I drag it here so it's above the other one. And you can see, if we have a look at the form, you can see it basically has three elements. It has a form block and then a form wrapper, a success message, and an error message. Within the form, here you can see the text fields and labels. And now you can add more elements here, like, for example, text area. You can move it up here so it's above the button, but you can't move it outside this form wrapper. Let's also give this my classes, like form block, and this one was form wrap. And another element, for example, is a select field, or maybe you will call it a drop down. It's a select field here. And here you have the choices, select one, first choice, second choice, and third choice, and the select one. This will be the one that is displayed here. You can see it there. It's a little bit visible. And then the next one is a checkbox element, and the last one is a radio button. You can see now I try to add it here within the form block, but I have to click on this form wrap, and I only can add it here. So now I can also move it up above the submit button, and the last element is a submit button. So let's have a look at all those form fields. The first thing here is a label. I mean, they're good for usability, but if you want to, you can just go and delete them. And the next one is this text field here. So a text field, you can just give it a name. So I would always name it what its purpose is for. So let's say first name. And here you can type in a placeholder like John. You can choose if the field is required or autofocused. I mean, autofocus is when you autofocus is activated, and on page load the cursor will already be in this field and you can directly start to type. So if that is not necessary, I would never take autofocus here, but maybe you want it to be required. So this is also a text field. Let's go here and make it surname. Here you can choose what it is for. It's plain, and let's give it John Doe. This one is not required. Then let's add another one. This will be our email field. We call it email john@doe.com. This one is required. And let's make a star here so people know that this is a required field. And the next one maybe is a phone number. Thing here like this. And yeah, this is a text area. This will be the message. And this is the select. The select, if you go here, the first choice is always the B that is visible, and this one has no value. The second one is the first choice, and this one I would always give it a value that is readable, because this value will be later in the email that you receive. So it's important that you fill in these values. Yeah, here's second. And there's third. And here you can allow multiple selections if you want to. Let's call this one services. And here we can make like choose a service. Okay, fine. And yeah, this is a checkbox. A checkbox to give it a custom, because currently it is like this. It's the default browser styling for checkboxes and radio buttons. To give it a custom styling, the first thing is you need to do is you have to go here to the style and tick custom, and now you can custom style it. Let's call this terms. I agree the terms. Let's link this. And the same goes for the radio button. If you want a custom styling for the radio button, you have to check custom here. And yeah, on this one, if you want the people to agree the terms, you have to make it required, of course. And what is always good is to fix spellings like this. And yeah, that's just simply a button, a submit button, so that's fine. So the next thing is that we are going to go through the details of the form settings. So here I'm going to choose my form, and you have to go here to the settings. And the first thing is here, this form block settings, the source. Here you have the choice between default form and logic. This is Webflow logic, where you can set up form logics, but I really wouldn't recommend using this because there's one disadvantage. If you're using Webflow logic, you can't use your staging anymore. And this is a bad disadvantage, I would say. So if you need logic in a form, I would recommend you to use a third-party provider, any other tool like Formspark, for example. Yeah. So I would always go with a default form here. And here with the states, currently you can see the normal state is just a form. And if I click here on success, this is the success message, and you can go and style it. Success message. Yeah. I already have a styling. You can style it like any other element in Webflow. And then you have the error message. The error message is always here below the form. I also can give it my error message. So yeah, let's style it a little bit different. Give it some more red like this, and let's change the color to something like this. Okay, fine. Back to the settings of the form. So next one is the name. I would use a descriptive name here, because if you later you will see in the Webflow settings where you can see the form entries, they will be separated by this name. So to know which form was used, I would give this always a descriptive name, like in this case, contact form. The next one is a redirect URL. So you can put in a URL here if you want the user to be redirected to another page once he submitted the form. And the next one is action. If you're using a third-party tool for your forms, for example, MailChimp, and you want to connect MailChimp to your Webflow form, you will get an action URL, or sometimes it's also called post URL. And this action URL you have to paste in here, and you have to change the method to post. The difference is the form entry gets added to the URL, so it will be something like this. So it's a query string. And this is also the basic method that is used. Post method is more secure. Something like this is used for passwords or credit card data or stuff like this, or if you want to connect the form to a third-party tool. Yeah. And let's go back to the form block settings. Exactly. Yeah, and that's it actually with the form settings. And okay, great. Let's talk about how we can style a form. So my recommendation is always to use flex and flex gaps. You can see now we have a flex gap of 2 here. Currently it looks a little bit too large. Maybe we can reduce it to something like 1 rem. And text field like this, let's give it a class like form input. You can see now it's already a little bit styled. I go through all those and give them my classes. Like this. You can style it actually like any other Webflow element. You can give it a little bit of a border radius maybe if you want to. Something like this. But what is more important in the styling is the states. You can see I can give it a hover state, and in a hover state, for example, I want to change the color to something like this light gray. And when it's focused, so focused always means when I click in it and the cursor is active, I maybe want to give it a color like this. Let's go back to the hover state and so let's give it this color. Okay. And yeah, there's a pro tip. So let's go to the preview and you can see it changes, but it doesn't look really beautiful. So let's add a CSS transition so it gets a little bit more smooth. To do so, you have to go back to the non-state, just scroll down and give it here transition. Choose here the border and maybe 300 milliseconds and something like ease out. Now you can see this one is animating. Great. Yeah, the other things like this is also just a simple form input. The text message, it works the same. What is different is this drop down. Let's go to my global styles here. I have this custom CSS here. I deleted for just a second, and now you can see this is the default styling. The default styling, you can see that this little chevron is pretty close here to the right border, and I don't think it looks nice. To do so, we need some custom CSS, and let's put it back in here. You will find this in the Cloneable of this tutorial, but what you have to do is you have to upload an SVG chevron, and here I did so. Then you have to click here to copy the URL. Then you have to go back to your global styles, and here you have to replace the URL. And then it gets styled like this. One more thing is also how to style this placeholders. So if you go here to the states, here's the state placeholder, and here you can change the color of the placeholder. Let's make it a little bit more obvious, like something like this. And if you want to change the color if somebody's typing in there, it's pretty simple. This is if you are in the non-state, and in the non-state, let's make an obvious change. Let's turn it red. And now you can see it turns red when I'm typing, and also this one turns red. Next one is this checkbox. Just click this little checkbox here. I think I already have a class for this, form checkbox. Here we go. Make it some white. Okay, this one didn't have a nice color. Let's choose this color here. Great. This form checkbox now, you can see here, I'm just going to give it a size of 1.125 rem, and also here. Let's take out this padding here. so it remains a square. And let's give it a here border. Let's use just white and maybe give it something like 2 pixels, so it's a little bit more obvious. And let's give it here some margin on the right as well, something like 0.5 rem maybe. Great. So, and now I want to style if it's checked. So here I go again to my states. I choose checked. You can see it's blue. I don't want it to be blue. So let's go here to the background color. Let's choose again this nice color there. But then now you can see that this check is white, and this check is actually an image. I've uploaded an SVG file to replace it. Now you can see it's visible. The same you can do with this here, like this checkbox here. Okay, this one was already styled. And yeah, one more thing, the button. Form button. This can be styled like every button, but let's say you want an icon in here. You have to do this with a background image. So let's add one up here. You have to choose like this. It should not repeat, and from the left I want to put it something like 50%, then it's exactly in the center. Let's put it like, yeah, like this. Okay, great. So, but what if you want several inputs in one row? That's pretty easy. I'm going to wrap this one in a div, take the second one and drag it in here as well. And then let's choose a class like form call. This class form call is setting display to grid. We have 2 columns in one row, and we are just using a gap of 1 rem here. And now this is like in a, yeah, it's like 2 columns. Pretty easy. And now if you want to make it responsive, you can see here, I've already changed it. Now it's getting a little bit too narrow, so now you can change it back to something like just 1 column to make your form responsive. Here you can see that my background image is causing a little bit trouble there. That's why I personally, I don't like to put icons and buttons with background images. That's why I'm going to delete it. Oh, and there's one pro tip for you. Maybe you have experienced that when you were using a form on an iPhone, on mobile, in Safari, that when you tapped into an input field, it suddenly zoomed in. This happens automatically, and you can't change it when the font size is below 16 pixels or 1 rem or 1 EAM. Make sure that you at least are using 1 rem or 16 pixels in your forms, so you don't have this weird behavior in Safari. Oh, and by the way, if you want to become a top-notch Webflow developer, you should subscribe to my channel. I release frequently new videos about Webflow, UI design, and creative business. But let's get back to our form. So, and the next thing is that we are going to have a look in where you will receive the form and the settings you can have there. To do so, you have to go over to the site settings, choose here forms, and here you can put in a sender name, like for example, form website. And here you can enter an email address where you want to receive these messages. So something like hello@designbase.studio. And here you can choose a subject line. I've prepared some stuff, so I'm just going to copy and paste it here. So the first one is the subject line. You can put anything in here, like new request from, and with this, yeah, you will see which website it was coming from. You can also add something like, if you want to know which form it was from, you can choose here something like form name, for example. And for the reply address, you can put something in like here. This here needs to, or these two terms have to match what you were using in your form for the first name and the email address. So let's have a look here. Let's go back to the designer. So here, let's just go here and let's put in here first name, and also here first name, and here let's use email. That's fine. Great. Let's go back to the settings. So the name was first name and the name was email. It's not the IDs, it's the names. And yeah, in the email template, you can use some basic HTML. So let's paste it in here. It's just a paragraph with a break. Hi Felix, you just received a new form submission on, and again the site name from your and the form name, so I know where it's coming from. Here's the message, and then the form data. If you don't know where to get this syntax from, it actually stands here below what you can use exactly. Yeah, and here you can see the name from the form. It's contact form a few seconds ago, and here you can see the data. And the same I will now receive as an email. Yeah, and here's the email. You can see it as like Webflow Forms is always on the start of the subject line, and then it's new request from Webflow, Forms 1 of 3. Spoiler, there will be 2 more videos about contact forms in Webflow, but that's actually the name of the site. And then the message. That's exactly what I've typed in here. And yeah, you can see here the message itself. And when I now click on reply, you will see it already took the name of the person and the email of the person. And yeah, there are 2 limitations to Webflow Forms. The first thing is you can only have one recipient of the form submissions. You can't have like one email for each form. You know, if you want one form entry to go to the marketing team or to the support team and another form to the sales team or something like this. If you want something like this, you have to use like a third-party tool like Formspark, for example. And the second one is there is no auto-generated email that gets sent to the person who filled out the form. For something like this, you will also need a third-party tool, something like Formspark. I will give you a link in the description of this video. And if you want to learn how to make a multi-step form now, you should watch this video next. And in any other case, thanks for watching, and as always, stay in the flow.